Albert Breer said when the Niners and Colts were discussing the trade for DeForest Buckner, Jimmy Garoppolo's name was thrown around a little bit. What's your reaction?
First, Albert Breer, come on. This is supposed to be my Monday. The Matthew Stafford news came in on Saturday. This was supposed to be my Monday to come in here and be like, hey, I've been saying Matthew Stafford for the last 6.5 months. There's finally a chance of it happening, blah, blah, blah. And then Albert Breer puts this bombshell out there. So my take on this is that you reported it, right? That there was an offer on the table from New England, that you didn't report it in writing because you only had one source, but you said that one source told
that
you
was the rumor. It was a rumor, and that's what
right.
They said. The word around the league is that Niners had an offer from New England for a first round pick, which was like at 18th, 19th.
Yeah,
and the Niners said no.
Yeah. So it's not like so for that to even be a rumor, there had to be some sort of conversation, right? With Jimmy Garoppolo's name included. Like Deion Sanders after the Super Bowl in like the middle of February last year was the first person to throw out the entire idea of Garoppolo going back to New England and Brady coming to the Patriots. He's probably not throwing out that Brady coming to the Niners. He's probably not throwing out that information unless there's something to it. So my takeaway was that the trade of DeForest Buckner, there had to be something surrounding Jimmy Garoppolo and Tom Brady with that, right? So Tom Brady is a tad bit more expensive than Jimmy Garoppolo was this year. And I'm assuming that between having to do the Buckner extension, having to do the Kittle extension, and Jimmy's current price
tag, technically Brady's cheaper on Tampa, but to get Brady, they would have had to get rid of Jimmy, which would have cost them $4 million. And I'm sure they would have had to pay Brady more because there's taxes in California and not in Florida. So the difference would have been it would have been more expensive for the Niners. Keep going. Sorry.
Sure. That's actually a very good point. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so what I'm assuming is just based on the fact that they were flirting with Austin Hooper during free agency, nobody still knows why they did that. I think there has to be something where they were basically deciding between Buckner and Kittle and Brady and Jimmy and how they were going to make the money work out. And it would have.
Slow down. That's interesting. So say it again. They were deciding between. Say it again.
I think Buckner and Kittle was one decision. And then I'm assuming Brady and Jimmy was the other decision. And I'm assuming to make the money work, it would have had to be some combination of the two. And I think
there's some parallel universe where the Niners could have had Brady and Austin Hooper is what maybe you're thinking is going on here.
I mean, that has to be the only logical assumption here, right?
And the Niners chose Kittle and Garoppolo over Brady and Austin Hooper. Interesting. It's possible.
Brady, Austin Hooper, and maybe they keep Buckner in that scenario. So I'm assuming. Let's just say that I think I'm obviously this is big time speculation because that sentence from Albert Breer was so vague and just it was a bombshell that he just put in half a sentence, like, wow, nobody's ever heard this one before. Thank you, Albert. But basically the assumption to me is that they made the decision between, I think it would have been some sort of Brady, Buckner, Hooper versus Kittle, Garoppolo, and Kinlaw. And I guess they chose the latter. And and I guess maybe looking now that 2020 is the ultimate hindsight, we might say that.
Yeah, fair to say. But let me ask you a follow-up question here. Hold on. Keep talking because I forgot what the follow-up question was going to be. Dang it.
All right. So in regards to Brady, and I'm assuming that you had the follow-up question somewhere in regards to him. I was at the time, unfortunately, it's not documented. I was just a college student at the time. I was in favor of going the Tom Brady route. And I didn't actually know I didn't have anything to do with these details. I was just thinking of it as Brady Garoppolo 1-for-1 kind of thing because of the $4 million to cut him. And I was just in favor of Brady. And it was solely because I thought Brady had a bigger arm than Garoppolo, even at 43. And that has stood true even this season because he's once again validated that his arm can still sling it, even at 43. He's still got a cannon.
Okay, I remember my question. Okay, here's what I want. Here's my follow-up for you. Why do you think this news came out now, Vish?
Oh, we all know why it came out now.
Say it.
It's because Jimmy Garoppolo is likely going to have the same rumors circulating around him, and this time they're more likely to come true because there's a little less attachment to Jimmy Garoppolo. I think when you were on my show on Friday, check it out if you can, Cohn and Vish Sports.
That's right.
But when Grant was on, we talked about the idea of Moneyball with quarterbacks, and we talked about why it couldn't work in the NFL because of emotional attachment. Well, there was emotional attachment to Jimmy Garoppolo last year with the fan base.
There certainly was.
And this year there isn't.
That's why, hold on. That's why a report like this couldn't even have come out last year. The Niners would not let this come out. They would shout it down. It's not true. It is not true. We did not try to trade Jimmy. Now it's like maybe
George Kittle.
Yeah. Oh my God. Now it's like maybe Niner fans need to know that the whole context, so that when he finally does get traded, they're not like totally blindsided. Right. That's the way I read it.
And the other interesting thing to me is that, like, the Patriots, the report that you made, like, easy assumption, right? But the fact that the Colts had some sort of interest in Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, is also intriguing. What do you think about that?
I do think it's intriguing because the Colts are always a dark horse. You never know what their plans are, and they don't have a quarterback since Andrew Luck retired. So it seemed like they settled for Phillip Rivers this year, which is a good option, but maybe they were in the Jimmy Garoppolo sweepstakes that we didn't know existed last year. And if they were, maybe they'd be in the Jimmy Garoppolo sweepstakes this year because they have picks, they have cap space, they're in a dome. Who knows? I don't know. Because right now I'm thinking, like, who's interested in Jimmy G? The Patriots, and that's it. Maybe it's not that simple. Maybe there is a trade market for this dude.
I don't think there's a trade market, and I'll tell you why I don't think there's a trade market, just to kind of wrap up on Garoppolo. I think the Niners played themselves. If you tell people that you don't like a guy for long enough, why would you expect them to then turn around and pay you something for that same guy? They played themselves with this entire Jimmy Garoppolo situation. There have been constantly negative reports regarding Jimmy Garoppolo that basically come from the 49ers. And when you do that, other teams are going to look into it. It's not, oh, they like Jimmy Garoppolo and they're going to get rid of him because there's a good offer. It's they don't like Jimmy Garoppolo and they've been trying to trade him. They've told every single person they like him. It's like the Arizona Cardinals. Remember, they tried to put out the smokescreen with Josh Rosen when Cliff Kingsbury basically told every single person at the combine who would listen to him that they were going to draft Kyler Murray. Like, if you tell every single person something and then you try to step back and say, no, what I said is not true, nobody's going to believe you. And they played themselves with this. And Jimmy's contract is no longer really favorable. Last year, it would have been favorable because the money this year wasn't too bad. And you get him on that 1 year. And let's say the COVID-19 situation is not there. The cap shoots up. You have a year-to-year evaluation on a legit starting quarterback who's not maybe a franchise quarterback. Now you don't want to trade something for him. Instead, you just wait for the Niners to cut him for essentially nothing, and then you can sign him at what you like at your price, which is $12 to $16 million, which is a great price to get a guy who's going to come in and compete for your starting job.
And when they passed on Tom Brady last year, they sold it as like, you always have to kick the tires on the greatest quarterback of all time. But the fact that we didn't go for him shows you how much we love Jimmy Garoppolo. That's how they tried to spin it, but that was never true. And the true feelings about Jimmy from the Niners were always revealed in the fact that they never extended his contract. This is the point in the contract where you're supposed to either get rid of him or extend him. It's this back half that's expensive, and they built it this way to give them flexibility to move on if they needed to. If you don't want to, this is where you extend the deal, give them a new 5-year contract like they did with Kyle. There's no salary cap for coaches. I'm just saying, if they saw enough and they liked him, he would have got an extension this offseason the way a bunch of other people did.
Heck, Minnesota Vikings did it with Kirk Cousins.
It would have came by now. The fact that it didn't come mean the Niners were holding on to that out, and now they're going to use it. They're going to freaking use it. So that's what we're losing. What we're learning is that they almost used it last year, and I tried to tell you. But it's good to know now. Thanks, Albert.